President Donald Trump's latest tariff push has now triggered a major legal battle inside the United States. 25 US states have sued the Trump administration, arguing that the president has exceeded his legal authority by imposing fresh round of tariffs on dozens of America's trading partners. And this fight matters well beyond Washington, because these are the same new tariffs that could affect exporters in countries including India and ultimately influence the prices American consumers pay for imported goods. So what are these tariffs? Why are US states challenging their own precedent? And could the courts derail Donald Trump's trade strategy once again? Hi, I'm Nupur and you're watching Control Z, your cheat code to navigating adulthood. First, the news. The lawsuit has been filed in the US Court of International Trade by 25 Democratic-led states, including New York. At the center of the dispute are new double-digit tariffs imposed on 60 US trading partners. The Trump administration says these countries have failed to do enough to prevent goods produced using forced labor from entering their markets and supply chains. Now, the White House argues that this ultimately harms American commerce and American workers. But the states challenging Trump say forced labor is essentially being used as a legal justification for something much bigger, which is bringing back sweeping tariffs. And there's an important history here. Donald Trump had previously imposed his sweeping Liberation Day tariffs using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. His argument was that America's persistent trade deficit constituted a national emergency. But in February, the US Supreme Court ruled that IEEPA did not give the president the authority to impose tariffs in that way. The ruling forced the administration to establish a refund process for importers that had already paid those tariffs. Now, Trump then turned to temporary worldwide tariffs of 10%. Those expired on 24th July. And now the administration has found a different legal route. This time, the new tariffs have been imposed under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. Now, Section 301 allows the United States to respond to unfair or discriminatory trade practices by other countries. And the scale is enormous. According to Al Jazeera's report, the tariffs announced in July affect more than 99% of US imports. That's why the latest lawsuit could become so consequential. The 25 states argued that the administration is essentially trying to achieve through Section 301 what it was prevented from doing through IEEPA. New York Attorney General Letitia James accused the administration of trying to illegally raise taxes on families and businesses after losing at the Supreme Court. The states also argue that imposing sweeping tariffs on imports does little to address the underlying problem of forced labor itself. The White House strongly disagrees. It says that countries that fail to effectively prevent imports produced through forced labor are engaging in practices that burden US commerce and American workers. And that, according to the administration, gives Washington grounds to respond. Now, tariffs are technically charged on imports entering the United States and not directly on shoppers standing at the checkout counter. But if imports pass those additional costs through the supply chain, consumers can eventually face higher prices. That is one reason this lawsuit isn't simply a constitutional argument about presidential power. It is also a fight over who ultimately bears the economic cost of Trump's tariff strategy. Donald Trump's argument is that higher tariffs can push businesses to manufacture more products inside America, protect American workers, and reduce dependence on foreign supply chains. His opponents argue that broad tariffs effectively function as taxes on imported goods and can increase cost for American households and businesses. And now the courts will once again have to decide a fundamental question. How much power does an American president actually have to reshape global trade through tariffs?